Hey, so before I start talking about the artwork, I just wanted to jump on and say that I still have plenty of my former Patreon sticker packs that have all 7 of my former Patreon Sticker Club stickers from last year, and they're available right now on my Etsy for currently $18, but their original value was $21, so you're saving a lot of money. So the link to that is down below on my Etsy, and to keep up with me, extra artwork on my Instagram is also, the link is down below. Now, for this art, I have not done a screenshot redraw in forever, and I will 100% admit that. I did watch the For the Future leak when it came out on January 5th. I couldn't remember the date before. Now I remember. But there was a 2-minute clip that was released on that day, and I went to go watch it. It was like the first 2 minutes of the episode, and that was on YouTube. And then my suggested video after that was For the Future full release, and I kind of just sat there and I was like, am I going to watch it? And I did. And by now the episode has come out, and I don't watch my Owl House on Disney anyway. I usually wait for the Owl Club, but this time I just couldn't wait because it was right in front of me, and I'm very impatient. So by this point, the episode's almost a week old, so I don't feel bad posting a screenshot redraw of something that wasn't even 100% plot oriented. I honestly thought that the Collector and King looked so freaking cute in this scene. His face is so like pinchable, the Collector. I love them so much. At first I was like, oh my god, I love them, but I'm not sure if I love them enough to draw them, and now here I am like, ooh, yeah, I do. Sketching it wasn't that hard, like, because it was basically just copying what was already on my phone, but it was the inking that took a lot longer. I have these pens that I've had since I was in high school. We always, like, so much of my art friends and I, the teachers had these pens. I have one right here called Sanford Uniball Onix Fine, and we used to call these teachers' pens because only the teachers had them. And mostly I would get a teacher to let us borrow one, and then we would just never give it back. And those were my favorite pens to outline with in high school. I usually obviously used the black pens, but I did get a couple of blue ones that I've just had, and this pen was weird. Like, it would skip lines, so I had to like do like small scratching motions to get the thickness and solid line that I really wanted, but that worked out. And then like I used that for everything except the furniture. I did do that with a brown fine liner because I've really been into that soft line art look, and then I used yellow on the lamp. Now when I was shading this, well, first of all, when I was inking it, some of the patterns I was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to draw over these, so I just did them with acrylic paint after, so that's at the end. But as I was coloring it, I really had to put a lot of thought into color theory, because I don't know when the last time I've actively used color theory that wasn't a mistake was. Like, I do some basic color theory that it's like, oh, I shade my green with a blue to make it darker, shade the red or purple with brown, like that kind of stuff. But when it came to this piece had strong yellow light, and then all the shadows and everything were like a bluish purple, blue violet, and the Collector's face is yellow. Like, obviously if you're gonna have a yellow light, you're most likely gonna have a blue shadow. The lights in my room are like that. I have one white light bulb, and then I have a yellow light bulb. The white light bulb gives off kind of like a more yellowy shadow, and then on the other side of the room you can see the yellow light bulb that gives off the blue shadow. It's weird, but color theory, lighting, yeah. Anyway, with the Collector, half of his face is yellow, and then his hands are yellow. So I was like, how do I shade this without it looking too green? Because normally I would just shade with the same color, but just darker. So with this one, I decided to go through my blues and find the ones that were either darker or desaturated. And I found that the desaturated blues, like the one I was definitely going for was the Prismacolor marker PM40. It's called Copenhagen Blue. That was a really nice mid-ground between desaturation and regular saturation. And that worked really well for the yellow shading. His hair, because it had blue shading, and then his hair is white normally, so the blue shading, and then it shifted to the yellow light, so there was like no in between for the yellow for the white to show. So I had to make sure to get that blended without it looking green, and I'm really happy with the way that came out. And then everything else wasn't necessarily more blue. Everything was kind of muddy, but not muddy in a bad way. It was muddy like everything was blue violet on top of like a warm brown. But I honestly am so freaking proud of this shading just everywhere. I just thought that looked so freaking cool. The headboard I feel is a little flat, but that's the way it looks in the picture, and yeah, not everything is shaded in the picture the way I did it, but by that point I was getting a little frustrated, so I just decided to just leave the color as is, because it's a magic headboard, screw it. The nightstand was a little difficult because it was warm but cool, but it wasn't neutral, so I just went with like first I went with the blue shadows, warm brown, and then went over it with a cooler brown, and then it looked muddy, so then I went over it all with blue, and I said it's good enough, honestly. And the background was honestly a lot more fun coloring in than I thought. First, I went through and picked out all the colors I needed. So it was like blue, a darker red, a dark purple, teal, a green, and I used lighter colors to map out where, because I figured, okay, if we start light, I can force blend everything together so it's super dark. And then everything just looked too separated, so I ended up going over the majority of it with blue, but you can still see that some parts are blue and some parts are more on the red side. I love that teal glow that's like coming from the bottom. And then I don't know if it was on purpose, but there's kind of a glow around the collector's head that's more purple than anywhere else. But that was honestly one of my favorite parts to shade. And the only thing that sucks is that my go-to darker teal is PM37, Prismacolor marker 37 turquoise. I've had that marker for years and it's starting to die, but it's like not dead, it's just drying. So I just got to add some more rubbing alcohol to it, because when I bought it, it was completely dry. I got it for a discount because it was dry, but it was the only color they had, and I bought it at AC Moore and they did not give a shit. So they gave it to me half off, and then I revived it, and I think it just needs a little bit more juice is all. And then the painting of the stars and stuff, I wasn't going to do the flick technique because I was so scared of getting paint all over the collector. So I ended up just having to hold my hand down and mapping it out, and then super carefully doing flick technique. I did get some on the paint on the other parts of the picture, but they're really not that noticeable, except for this part on his hair. As I'm recording, I'm going to fix, because it's not a lot, it's just annoying. I'll have to fix it in editing because it looks kind of funky, but that's fine. I got really scared on the lamp part because I went over some of that lamp part with a very, very watered down acrylic paint. But as I'm painting, I'm like, why is this so gloopy? Like, did I not add enough water? But the more water I added, it got gloopier. And then I remember the fucking tempera paint. It's washable, so it reactivates with water. And I put that acrylic paint right on top. So I almost screwed it up, and I had to go over it. Because I had blue in that tempera paint, it was coming through blue instead of yellow. And then when I tried to clean it and re-add it, it was just picking up the paint that was already there. But I think I fixed it, and I like the way it looks. I highlighted it, signed it, left it alone. I love the Owl House. It's 100% my comfort cartoon. I'm going to absolutely sob when it's over in March, and I'm kind of hoping it gets leaked again because I'm impatient. For now, this is my screen redraw of The Seamless King is Reading Collector, the story. And I absolutely love the way it turned out. That episode made me very sad. That episode also made me angry because the part where Hunter, Gus, and Willow are under the school in the vines, how Willow has been taking on all this responsibility, and she's all like, oh, I'm fine, which I relate to heavily. And then at one point she's like, I can take care of this. And then she's like, no, I can't. And Gus and Hunter are like, you need to let it out. Like, we'll help you. Just talk. She talks for like 2 seconds. She says she misses her dad's after Hunter comforts her. And then they have to escape. And then that's it. She's like completely fine. And then later she's like, oh, thanks for saying that. And I mean, good for her and Hunter. I'm so glad that Huntlow is becoming canon. But let me tell you, I was very upset on how quickly they like just overcame that. Like, she's been taking on like the big sister role, the eldest daughter role, and just for her to cry for like 3 seconds and then be over it, it just felt like it was swiped under the rug, and I'm a little upset about it. But then the Luce's Palisman string bean was the cutest, loved her to death. I might need to do fan art of her and her Palisman too, but that's about everything, because I'm going to stop talking about it because I'm going to make myself cry because I love the show so much. So thank you guys so much for watching. Links to everything, like I said, is down below, and I will see you next week. Bye.